Alright, so this video is about win-back campaigns and win-back loops. And essentially what a win-back loop is when, let's say, a user has stopped reading your emails or haven't returned to your website for a while and you happen to have their email contacts. Then you should set up a structure in which you can win them back in one way or another. Now there are a lot of tools that can help you out with win-back campaigns, and I'm just going to show you the surface of two of them. My preferred email service is MailChimp, and this kind of automation setup is available in most of these service providers, as it is so powerful. And so for MailChimp, let's say I want people who haven't done something, or that have done something in particular for the last emails or so. Let's take this example. Let's add an automation here. And they have a lot of suggested ones, but I'm gonna add a custom one here and add automation, and I call this win back loop. And I select the website I want to win back the traffic from, or the list. Now, this has already now been created, so whenever someone does what I tell them, when I tell this software to do something, when someone does something or doesn't do something, this will start running. But I want to change the trigger, meaning the situation when this is actually gonna be triggered. So I edit the trigger here and I say change trigger, and there are a lot of them. In this case, campaign activity, because we want to get a win back. And here I can see that I can have a trigger that sets off, for any given reason here. So if someone has clicked something, or if someone has done something, I can add that as a trigger. And in this case, it wasn't so that I could add the previous email not opened, but it's because the only reason that is the case is because we're sending the first email now. And if you think about it, as I'm setting it up, if I haven't sent an email to this list, then they can't have not opened the email, and that's the reason. So you can put in whatever triggers you want, and then you can decide on how many hours after they did that or not did that this actually activates. Once you feel fine with your trigger, then you can go in and you can create a segment of this, and you can, for example, here set it to campaign activity, and there you can select did not open any of the five last campaigns or something like that. Now so what I'm doing now is that I'm deciding the rules surrounding why this email should be sent. And what I do then is that I set up a design for this email that will help me create a situation where people actually will want to start using my service or return to my service again. So this is one way of building these automated processes, so that when someone drops off and doesn't start using or doesn't start opening your campaigns, you can set this on time or many different triggers. But this is the reason why you shouldn't have to think about it, but it should set off automatically. Now, one last thing that I would like to add here is the kind of series. I have one preferred series of emails that I like to send out. And so the first email that I send out in a win-back loop, meaning when someone hasn't opened or hasn't clicked an email for quite some time, is a survey where I ask them for some kind of input. That wins back a ton of people, because people want to give their feedback, especially if you think about the nines that you've been covering in this section as well. They want to give their feedback, and then you're there to listen to see, is there a way that I can create a segmented list where they will feel more that the content will be more relevant to them, and then you segment that list so that they only get that kind of updates. So that's the first thing I do. I run a survey. The people who don't respond to the survey, I send a challenge to, and then I use the rules for challenge that you learned in the first activation thing, meaning you challenge maximum like 3 of your friends, and they have to respond within 1 hour or 24 hours. And so that can be anything. If I'm working with entertainment, it can be like a ninja drop, or scoring a goal or something like that, like penalties or some kind of playful challenge. If it is a B2B serious thing, then I add a challenge such as, something about recycling in the office or something like that, where you challenge a coworker using email, and that will reactivate them. So first one is survey, second one is a challenge, and the third one is drop from email list. Now, there is one thing that is a very strong power when you're trying to convert people, and the most strong one is when you try to take something away from them, or they feel like they're missing out on something. Now, as you could see in the persuasion tactics that was in one of the previous classes as well, what you do is you send an email and you essentially tell them in the headline that email list removal. And what you will see is that the people, or about like, yeah, the people who aren't just like dead email addresses, the rest of the people will actually open this email because they feel like they're losing out on something. And then only the people who will want to receive emails will stay in. So those are the 3 emails that I usually set up in a sequence in order to win back traffic that hasn't, been active for a while. Now, this is only dependent upon the email. If you in like email lists, and if people are inactive in the email lists, if you have a more advanced system than MailChimp, you can create triggers that, when someone isn't active on your site, or when someone hasn't purchased at a regular pattern and things like that, and that can trigger these emails to go out. But you need some integrations in order to do that. For example, with Sugar CRM, or with Salesforce, or with Marketo, or something like that. Then you can build win-back loops that are based on site traffic. One thing you can do is you can to do that is that you can install the Facebook pixel, as many of you have, on your website, and then you can create an audience here. You can create a custom audience based on website traffic, and it has this option, people who haven't visited in a certain amount of time. And so you can add that. You can decide the number of days that people haven't visited. And those who haven't visited your website in a long time can then start receiving, freebies or offers or something like that, that will then enable you to win them back. And so this is what the win back loop is. It's a trigger that sets off automatically when you haven't seen a user behavior that is like a user behavior that moves towards your goal in quite some time. So these are 2 ways to do this, and I am more than happy to take some questions about this on Wednesday. So have a good day. Bye bye.